Prince of Wales and the Princess of Wales were named in Time magazine. It's a very influential list. They were innovators of, now this is a difficult word, of philanthropy, modernising royal philanthropy. Now, this is, I think, in recognition of all the work they're doing with, William's been doing with homelessness through Homewards. Catherine, I've been to so many events where she's launched something new about Shaping Us, or her Royal Foundation. There's so much going on there. They're working with loads of businesses, from NatWest to Deloitte to Co-op to the sandwich firm Pret a Manger. They're doing lots behind the scene that doesn't really get that much coverage, but they won this. They've been named as innovators and also modernising the way that royals work. This is probably an award that Archwell or the Sussexes maybe would have dreamed of.
They're looking long-term, rather than immediate cheers, you've done this, you've done that. This is long-term. So I think that Kate's childhood, the first 5 years, is absolutely brilliant. But it's long-term. Earthshot is long-term. The homelessness, sadly, is long-term. So they're not looking for the immediate kick. They're looking sort of forward into the future about what they can do, and I think that's really admirable, which is probably why it doesn't get that much publicity. Because
so there's a long-term strategy that you can see. We know how long Earthshot is, we know how long Homewards is, we know that Shaping Us and the work with the under-5s is basically her lifelong. It's going to last all her life. It's a golden thread through all her work. Whereas the Sussexes, and we always compare them, whereas the Sussexes seem to be jumping around from different ideas, and you can't pin down specifically what they are doing philanthropically.
I could only think of the Invictus Games. And most people say that when you think of the Sussexes, you think of Harry's Invictus Games. I can't think of anything that Meghan has done or is going to do. So
I think William and Kate are being very ambitious with their projects. Absolutely agree with you on the long-term strategy, but also, ending homelessness is hugely ambitious. Finding projects to help stop climate change, hugely ambitious. They're trying to tackle the big questions of our time in a way that strays quite close to politics, really. They haven't got in trouble, I don't think, for crossing the line. But these are stepping into areas where government usually treads. Kate's Shaping Us project fills in the gap left by the Sure Start scheme that was rolled back under the previous government, where there was a lot of help for parents with children preschool age, and a lot of that help was withdrawn. So Kate stepped into the vacuum, she stepped into the gap and started trying to refocus attention on that age, on that era of a child's life. So it's hugely ambitious.
But that was because she reckoned that if you can take a child up to the age of 5, you've
got them up and running by
You've got them up and running.
And these are positive, optimistic ideas, aren't they? There's no nasal gazing here.
No,
these are things that are positive, and we can hopefully see some success over a long period of time.
And absolutely. And with Harry and Meghan, I think part of the issue is that they just do a lot less charity work. They don't do visits to charities anymore, to external charities. And they have had the Archwell Parents Network they launched in recent years, which was there to kind of be a support network for parents who have lost children because of social media, which is a valuable and a valid project to do. But they're just very hands off with all of their charity work.
Well, Centre Barley. That wouldn't have helped his cause.
African parks.
African parks.
Because we know that Harry and Meghan are trying to do something about social media.
Yeah.
But we don't really know what they've done. I know they've talked about it, but what have they actually done?
It's not results focused. This is what I would like to see them do with that project.
Very business. Results focused.
No, but what are they trying to do? They're trying to create a support network, but parents want to know, a lot of parents feel completely helpless. They've given their children social media. They probably should have waited a couple of years, but once you've given it, it's hard to take it back. What do they literally do? How do you cope with that situation? I would much rather see Harry and Meghan try to give concrete advice to parents on how to deal with that situation. But they,
Not to read it all, which we know Harry does. But he certainly used to. I don't know if he still does.
Yeah, but also absolutely, 100%. But also steps for social media back off your children. How do you wean them off it? Can you take it back? What's the best way of approaching how to do that? I think there's more they could be doing that would actually create an impact for a broader section of people in the real world, which is what William and Kate are aiming to do. They're aiming to have a real world impact.
Well, it looks to me, and from going to these events and listening to them talk and explain, it looks to me like they are succeeding in this world, in the projects they're running. They are, we do have a time scale, so we will come back to William after 10 years of Earthshot and say, what has it done?
Yeah,
What has it achieved?
what are the
Or
best?
5 years after Homewards, what have you done? But, we look forward to that, to see what the kind of results are. But the Time magazine were talking about that the Wales is, they describe modernising royal philanthropy. Royal philanthropy has been going on for roughly just over 100 years. I think we're talking, where royals actually started getting involved. Are they the real, true modern royal couple here on the stage with all the work that we've just described here? William and Catherine.
I think William and Catherine are the true modern royal couple now. But if you look back, Princess Margaret, for instance, who people hardly even think about now, she was the first person to actually touch someone that had AIDS.
Correct, yeah.
And of course, and then there was leprosy back in the day. But things weren't, it wasn't glamorous enough for the 50s and 60s. They wanted to see Princess Margaret in a sort of wonderful dress. But they did do work. And Queen Mary did an immense amount of work, going really for, George V was so proud of his wife because she did a huge amount with nursing and everything else. But it wasn't the world was so different then. So I think they've kind of revived the old-fashioned royal philanthropy in a way. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, I do. And look, King Charles as well, the King's Trust is a fantastic project and it's a very ambitious project. I was out in New York a couple of weeks ago for the King's Trust Global Gala and I was speaking to Oswald Boateng, a fashion designer, who was big at the Met Gala. He was one of the big designers who was dressing people at the Met Gala this year, who was helped by the King's Trust. The King's Trust got him up and running. He got a grant from them. He used it to buy his kind of sewing machines and equipment. Charles sometimes doesn't perhaps get quite as much credit as he deserves, I think, for the ambition that he's shown in an area that I certainly would say counts as philanthropy. I think it does. It is charity.
Totally,
it's charity
totally,
work.
yeah.
It's very important getting young people into work and helping them get set up.
He was the first. Charles, in a way, was the first to do it,
He
wasn't
carved out this
when he
version.
started, his inner cities.
Yeah.
With trying to do stuff for kids in the inner cities using his Navy pension pay.
Yeah.
So
And that he came out
started
of the
it.
Navy and he needed a purpose in life, isn't it? And this was
So he started the Prince's Trust.
Well, this is a real good recognition of all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, because we see the engagements, we report on the engagements, we see them turning up, but there is a lot of work they do behind with these Royal Foundation and the King's Trust, as we're pointing out. They do actually, they're not just sitting around in Palace just counting all their money. There's a lot of work behind for these philanthropic efforts.